So strap in and get ready.
The leaders in AFL SuperCoach are incoming, helping you win your leagues and climb up the rankings.
You're now listening to the Insight AFL Show with your hosts, Big Horse and Skinny.
Hello and welcome back to the Insight AFL channel. I'm your host, The Horse, and with me again tonight for his round 10 team preview and the question that is on the tip of everyone's lips. The 5 foot, what do you call him, Hurls?
I'm calling him the 5 foot optical illusion at this stage.
Oh my God, he's been shocking. But anyway, Hurls, how you going, mate?
I'm really good, mate. This is a massive week in SuperCoach. So g'day to everybody out there tuning in. I know that everyone has about 450 trade plans bubbling in their brain like me. And I'm looking forward to chatting about it with you, even just to help me out, not just everyone out there. So while everybody out there hopefully gets some value as well, I think this is going to be good for both of us who have multiple options too this week, and we're trying to work out what we're going to do.
That's unreal. Like some of the comments that we get coming in, they're bloody unreal. Cheese. Caleb Daniel reminds me a lot of Deadly. Is Deadly hiding underneath this couch? Mate, we've got a ripper community at the Insight community. If you haven't yet, hit like, subscribe, and the bell. We call it being a triple banger. But also, if you listen to us on audio, give us that 5-star review. It helps get us out into the ears of those that appreciate all things SuperCoach and a little bit of banter thrown in with the footy knowledge. Now, tonight, every Tuesday night, 8 o'clock, we go live with your team now. So we have a look at your score from last round, your season rank. Even though it was a bit of a dip last week, it's character building. Everyone has down weeks.
It was, yeah.
And
that's okay.
I don't want to highlight this too much because he's going to get a big head, but I also see that in one of your draft leagues, Deadly beat you.
Yeah, I don't even look at that one, to be completely honest. So I don't want to downplay that one, but the only draft league I really pay any attention to is the keeper one. The others are sort of there, and I don't really look at them. So I wouldn't have changed my team since round 1 in that one.
Yeah, okay. Rightio. So we're getting straight into it, and Hurls' team this week is going to be brought to you by our day one sponsors, The Standard Squeeze, who are helping you drink responsibly and conveniently. You can go to the website, thestandardsqueeze.com, and use the code IFS2025 to get yourself 15% off everything in store. Take us away, Hurls.
All right. So it was a crap week for me. Let's be completely honest. So there were scores up around the 2600s, there were 2500s, there were 2400s, and my team just really did shit the bed. And I think it started for me on Thursday night when I made the stupid decision. And I called this on our preview show. If those of you who watched our preview remember, I said, I hope I've got the patience to not go a VC Thursday night, because it's like my my SC kryptonite. I can't help myself. I have to do something on Thursday night. And I went VC Dacos, and it just got worse from there. So I mean, I was chasing all weekend. I captained TDK, so I got 100 out of my captain. Yep. And then, all of my uniques like Zach Merritt got tagged, which I was expecting. I got, I think, a combined total of maybe 60 or maybe 90 points out of 3 rooks on field, which was disaster. And, those who have got Zach Reed got 130 for their 1, and I got 90 for my 3. So it was just one of those weeks. But having said that, I had 2 crackers in a row before that. I was 2,500 the 2 weeks prior.
That's right.
So it was my turn, right? So that's okay. It's character building, and I think it just reminds you in this game that you've never really got it nailed, and you have to always just keep working on what's your plan, what's your strategy. And I can tell you, this week's plan could go in any way, any direction. I don't know what I'm doing yet.
Neither do I. Long story short, no idea what I'm doing yet. We've thrown up a few scenarios in the Patreon, but also between text messages with you and I, and there are so many scenarios that we'll get into. But yeah, before we do, mate, throw your team up on the screen and we'll go through it as it stands.
Do you want to make that a bit bigger? What do you reckon?
Yeah, you can if you like. So from the back line, we've got Winnie Blues, Lockie Whitfield, proudly sponsored, by Ryan from Astute Newstead. Harry Sheasel, Dane Zorko, Matt Roberts, Riley Bryce, Trainer, Connor Stone, and Bo Allen. Your back six, how do you feel about them?
Not ideal. I thought 2 weeks ago I made the call that Pepper Pig trade out after round one was my worst move of the year. Well, it certainly is now second, because holding Trainer and sacking Zach Reed 2 weeks ago by far exceeds that move. Yeah, they were both 240,000, and I thought I was playing the patient game. I thought Trainer's got you had a sub-affected score in there. That'll wash out in 2 weeks. I'll hold him. It'll be okay. And I kept Zach Reed I kept Trainer, and Zach Reed's just gone ballistic ever since. And as Bomber fans, we should have seen that possibility on the horizon. I would have never predicted 118s and 130s, no. But I did know he was the safest scorer and job security of the three. So I should have really taken that into account a lot.
That's
more.
right. We learn from our mistakes.
Yeah. So the back line, look, I've got Whitfield, which many people are still chasing. I held Sheasel, which is good. He's now playing back in the back line. Zorko's been frustrating, but he showed this week he can still have those big scores if the Oppo don't target him through the middle. So that's a good thing. Roberts is Roberts. I think Essendon only kicked, I think it was 4 behinds or something on the weekend. So he had no kick-ins to speak of. And that probably hurt Bice a little bit too, although his 71 was probably all junk time late. But I think Bice will go. Trainer's still got some money to make. Roberts will be a hold for now because of no other real choice, really.
Yeah, gotcha. So you're happy Bo Allen should be back this week as well. Connor Stone can always play as your loop player there. Yeah. Looking at your midfield, you've got Brayshaw, Dacos, Merritt, Neal, Petraka. So that's a really solid top 5, mate. And then you've still got Levi Ashcroft, who's scoring well. There's no real reason to get off him at the moment. Elijah Hewitt, who always plays well in Perth, and bada bing, bada boom, plays in Perth this week against the Saners. Hustwaite, who we'll touch on later, Lindsay, Hall, and Boxall. Yeah. How are you feeling about your midfield?
Well, it was just a case, if you look at it this week, it was really underperforming. I mean, Brayshaw 154 and everybody else was sub-ton. But last week it was fine. So it's one of those things in SuperCoach. What I think is separating teams week to week at the moment is the combinations that you've got. Yeah. And if your combinations all go well together, like mine have the last 2 weeks, you're getting a great score. And if you have a week, unfortunately, where your combinations don't, it sucks. And so I had one of those weeks this week. But I don't have any issue with those top 4 being in the top 8 mids at the end of the year. So I don't have any problem there. And Petraka will end up being in the forward line by the end of the year as well. So I don't have an issue with that. I'm happy I've still held Levi. He's no problem. And the others, I mean, they're there because they weren't at their culling stage yet, right? So that's okay. I'm okay with the team. I just have a few different decisions to make about how do you get to full primo. And I think we'll talk about this a lot. But if you look at the rookies and how many positions we still need to fill, if our new rookies, like for me this week, Boxall, I went early on Boxall thinking, when Erasmus didn't start on Thursday, Boxall did on Friday, I went with him. But whether he makes any money or whether he goes straight out, these are the kind of things that are going to make or break us. Because you really need, I did a bit of calculations today and a little bit of mucking around with what my trades might look like over the next sort of 5 or 6 weeks. And if the trade-ins that we do from now to, say, 3 weeks' time, if those rookies don't make 130, 120 at least, gee, it's going to be a tough grind to get any of the big dogs in or to finish the team. So that's my biggest concern, and that's a little bit out of our control.
100% it is. 100% it is. Deadly, I see that you're in the chat, mate. Check your DMs. Trying to get you involved, mate. But he has put in here, get smoked in draft league, old man. You know what? We give him shit, but Jeezy gives as good as he gets.
He does. No, he's a good man, Deadly.
Yeah. Yep. So we had it told to us by, well, we're not going to reveal our sources, but Hustwaite sub last week was pre-planned because of the quick turnaround and the trip to Darwin this week. So if you take that into consideration, you would think that he's going to play a fairly prominent role in the Hawthorn midfield in Darwin this weekend.
Yeah. And if he makes, 25 grand if he scores a 49. So let's hope he can score a 79 or an 89 this week. Because we still don't know if he's going to survive the week after. And yeah, hopefully though we do get this week, because we'd hate to have a Hustwaite dead at 160 something thousand. At least if he can get to 200,000, it's better than where he is now. So let's see what happens there.
Yep. Awesome. Clay Hall, he continues to play well in the waffle. I don't know what he needs to do to get the call up. Obviously, he doesn't have pictures of Mini. Other people probably, or other players probably do. Xavier Lindsay, do you think his time is near on nigh for a trade out?
Look, I think with all these guys, and I'll bucket all these ones together that are in my team. So Hewitt, Lindsay, Trainer, Hustwaite, if he plays next week and goes okay. Like whenever you think that you want to move them on, I think they're okay. I don't want to say famous last words because Zachary just went nuts. And so you can get one wrong. But I think if they're getting up, 270s, 300,000s, these are at the areas that they're usable. So I think in whatever order your preference is, I think you can start to think about moving those guys now. For sure.
Your rucks, mate, Gawn, DeConing, Boyd's probably just going to sit there all day. Yeah.
Isn't this the line though that's separating stuff at the moment? I mean, you're a Sherry owner, but a non-Gawn owner.
That's right.
I'm a Gawn owner and a non-Sherry owner. And the last 3 weeks has really, and I was big on this 3 weeks ago. We had this conversation. You said, should I get Gawn? And I said to you, don't do it because DeConing's going at the same rate as these guys. And the last 3 weeks has shown that DeConing is getting tired and he can't go at the rate of those.
He's getting tired. Yep.
Yeah. And so I think now it's something to think about. Gawn is hard to get because he's 720. Sherry is hard to get because he's 680, but he'll be 720 next week. Part of my trade thinking this week is maybe Sherry, but there's a part of me that says just hold off too because 680 is even too expensive. So these are some of the conundrums we've got. But I think at some point, without breaking the team, we need Gawn and Sherry R1, R2.
Yeah, I think you're right. But you did bring up a very valuable point there in where does the money come from?
Yeah, I don't know. That's the hard part. Like, I can do it this week, but if I do it, I'm sacrificing a rookie and I'll show people the couple of the decisions I'm toying with and what it does to my rookies on field. And so it's a hard one. You got to weigh it up. I think you have to get him, and it depends on where you're sitting and what your plan is. And even whether you can get him at round 13, like the problem is if Sherry goes 140 again this week, you're not getting him at round 13 either. So it's a tough one.
Your forward line: Smith, Rankin, Warner, Kennedy. Love it. McRae, Daniel, Cleary, and Kako. So I would say that if you move Petrarca to your forward line, that could nearly be your forward line for the year.
Yeah, I'm done. I've got 8 forwards. I've got Marich in flex. I've got Petrarca in the midfield. I'm done. Like Horn Francis is the only one I don't have that's up and about the top 6, but I don't really want him anyway. So I'm comfortable that I won't worry about bringing in any other keeper forwards. I've got plenty. Let's
talk about the 5 foot illusion.
Yeah. This is the one, and maybe you can start us off here, Horse, because I missed the stats episode earlier, and so I know you and Broads went through some numbers around Caleb Daniel. So give us a snapshot of what are you thinking from a numbers point of view, and then I'll give you my view of how people could consider Daniel, because it depends on everything in Supercoach depends on the story you tell yourself, right?
Yep,
And I think
yep.
you could arguably tell yourself 2 or 3 stories about Daniel, and either one of them
100%.
could prove to be right or wrong.
So let's put it this way. So he started at 260K, around about. So he's made us almost 200K. So if we treat him like a rookie, if he's made 200K, we're pretty happy.
Yeah.
So let's look at it this way. Yes, he started off the season scoring really well. So I better search him up because at the moment, I have traded him out this week. He's got a break even of 121. But to start the year, 81, 116, 116, 92, 116. Awesome. You'd love that. And at that stage, you're probably thinking, this bloke's probably a keeper when he's averaging 104 Supercoach points per game. Sheasel moves back against Carlton and he goes 88, 89, 89, 51. So, and those last 2 games, that's with scaling involved in tight games with North Melbourne just losing against Essendon and then North Melbourne drawing against Brisbane.
Yeah.
As per the numbers that Brody has done for, we've got him on one episode here that's out in the Twitter world, but then the rest of the year is going to be behind our Patreon, only for Patreon subscribers. But Caleb Daniel is a 25 Supercoach points per game less player with Sheasel in the back line than what he is without Sheasel. So if Sheasel's there, it stuffs him. Like he is going to average 80 Supercoach points per game. And that's not me and my personal opinion. That's the numbers talking. So then Brody went one step further and we've gone, well, how much money is he going to lose? And he could potentially, he's got 2 weeks until he's bye. He could potentially lose 60, 70K in the next 2 weeks. And then you're stuck with him at 370K going into a bye. What are you doing with him then? So my question to you now, Hurls, is he's at 440K. He's got a break even of 121.
Yeah.
Do you move off him now into like for me, one of the trade plans for me this week is to get Sinclair. So it cost me 80K to get to Sinclair. Do you go that way or do you go a Holmes or do you look to go elsewhere or do you downgrade, like go early on a Philippou? That's a bit of a spicy take that some people are doing. Or what would you do? Or would you hold on to him and just go, look, he's got a favourable matchup against Richmond. He could potentially score well and just hold steadfast until the buys.
Yeah, and this is what I think makes this decision really tricky. If he didn't have Richmond, Collingwood, West Coast next 3, no one would be even considering holding him at his current output. Everyone would be saying, all right, at best, he's an 85 kind of bloke now, and that's not going to cut it for F6. So I'm going to treat him like a fattened cow, and I'm going to get rid of him. Because he has Richmond, Collingwood, West Coast, the story some can tell themselves is he'll get 90s in these 3 weeks and he won't drop much in cash, and so I'll keep upgrading elsewhere. And that could happen. I'm not saying it won't happen, but I think it's draw related. Then there's the other story you could tell yourself, which is Daniel, when you look at your team, and this is what I find really interesting because I've done this myself 400 times this week. When I look at my team, the first thing you do, and whenever anyone shows me their team and says, what do you recommend this week? The first thing you naturally do is count the rookies, right? So I go, all right, Trainer on field, Bice on field's 2. Then I've got 3 in my midfield, that's 5. And I go, all right, that's it. I've got 5 rookies on the field. What I think we need to start doing is I think Daniel is actually a rookie right now. And so I think I've actually got 6 rookies. Yeah, I think I've got 6 rookies on field. So if I change the way I look at Daniel and I say I've now got 6 rookies on field, then moving him means I'll go to 5 rookies on field next week and it feels like my cadence is upheld. But what is hard to do is because we talked ourselves into, after round 4 or 5, we talked ourselves into Daniel is a keeper. We are viewing him not as one of the rookies. And so we go from 5 rookies on field this week. We want to be 4 next week, and we're not. We're going back to 5, and we all say that's not improving my team. But I think if you view him differently, I think he is a trade. And that's my at this stage of the week, I'm viewing Daniel as a trade. The next question is, what do you do with him? And this is where I think there's there's a few options for my team, and I might play with 3 scenarios to show people what I mean by this. Because the first scenario, let's hold Daniel, right? And the first scenario and the most SuperCoach friendly, stick to the rules, cadence, one up, one down, SuperCoach trades for me this week is this. It's Bice out and it's Cleary out.
Yep.
Right? Two rooks that no one would argue that they're not rooks, and bringing in Jack Sinclair in the back line, and I'll move, just for argument's sake, I'll move Stone to my forward line, and I'll bring in who I think is probably the most viable rookie this week, Sardell Hawley. So that is traditional SuperCoach, how most people would say go that way. And I would too. If I looked at someone else's team thinking Daniel is a keeper, that is how I would do it. And then you count them and you go, right, I've got Trainer on the field, I've got 3 rookies there, so I've only got 4 rooks. I'm better off than last week. Now that works if Daniel gets 85, 95, 105 against Richmond, right? If he gets 55, 65, 75 again, all of a sudden I haven't really done the right move and I'm no better off. And he's now going to lose 20, 30K, and I'm now trying to scramble to sell him next week, and it's worse off. Now, those of you who are thinking this way, there is one insurance policy. And I think you mentioned it before, Horse. The insurance policy for this move is, yes, Daniel might lose 20K, but you've got another look at Philippou, and you might be able to still go Daniel to Philippou next week, and that's your backup, right? I think that's viable. So I don't want to talk anyone out of this. And this is why in this episode, I really wanted to really concentrate on the options, not the way I might be viewing it, because I think you can view it 3 ways and it can be right. But we won't know that until we see the scores next week and we see what other people score, etc. Because with this move, Sinclair's got West Coast. You'd say he'd go well. Daniel's got Richmond. Maybe he'll get his 85, 95. And I've still got 4 rookies on field instead of 5. So that's a viable move. But let's go and reverse that. Here's another option, right? The next option is, let's say Daniel is viewed as a rookie. Let's get rid of him, right? And let's get rid of Bice, because we all think Bice is ready to go now. I can now make choices, and let's for the sake of this argument go with Al Hawley again, because I think Al Hawley is still the best rook, if I can find him. There he is. Yep. I put Al Hawley in there. So I've now got 734,000, and I can make choices. I can either stay with Sinclair, who's value, and I can do that by moving some DPPs around. I can move Stone down to the forward line, and I can bring Sinclair in there. Or I can say Sherry is a must-have, and I just have to have him here. So I'll put Stone back there. I can put Marriage there. And I can go, stop mucking around with all these sort of half-assed moves, and just bring Sherry in now and not worry about it, right? So what that's done though for me is I've got 2 rookies on field here, 3 there, so I've still got 5. So I haven't improved from last week unless I viewed Daniel as a rookie. But in my head, and this is where my head works, it's really weird. I think that's a better team than the other option in my mind, because I think Sherry not owning him is going to kill me, and waiting till he gets to 740 is going to be crazy, and all of that kind of stuff. So I think for me, I favour this trade out version of my team rather than the other one. And then the real wacky one that I've also toyed with, let's cancel those, is Daniel out, De Koning out, Sherry in, and going to our mate that we got wrong, Zach Reed. And what this actually does for my team is it creates 6 rookies. But I could tell myself as well with this story that my 6 rookies are better off because Zach Reed can score better than any of my other rookies combined. And I've still got Bice for next week to go to Sinclair. Whereas my other option, if I go Sherry this week without doing this, and I cull Bice and Daniel, I really have no path next week to an upgrade. I have to downgrade only. Whereas in this version, I can go a Bice and a Lindsay out, and I reckon the maths is going to work to get me a Cooper Simpson and a Sinclair. And if that maths doesn't work, I'll probably be able to do a Holmes or a Bailey Dale or something like that. So I've got to. This is what I'm weighing up. Well, which of these three options do I think is the best for me in next week, the week after, and the week after that? I think if I play traditional SuperCoach, I'm holding Daniel. But if I don't play traditional and I think Sherry is more important than that, then I go one of these other two options.
Yep. G Money, I've definitely got your comment here and I'll highlight it because it is one of my poorer moments. Hey, Horse, just in case you forgot, I definitely didn't forget, mate. Thanks again for recommending us to trade Zach Reid before the Anzac Day match because it'll be wet and big guys can't play in the rain. Turns out that he's probably the exception to the rule, Hurls.
And we all look. I did it too, so at least I guess in giving that advice, we didn't tell you to do one thing and we did another. At least we went with you, so we're all in the same painful boat together.
That's right. Now, your trade-in of Zach Reid, so he's at 380K now.
Yeah.
So we discussed off air that he could still potentially make another 150K. And while it sounds crazy, like Cheese has said in here, bringing Zach Reid is absolutely crazy, Hurls, but he loves it.
Yeah.
Think about it this way. He's at 380K. If he makes another 150K, he gets to 530K. And the way that he's scoring at the moment, he could potentially get there. Whereas if you downgrade into your Sardell Hawley, who's at 155K, he needs to get to 300K in order to equal what Zach Reid could potentially give you.
Yeah. So here's the thing that I'm having to weigh up, and I'd love to think because I'm an Essendon fan, I'd have a good handle on this, but I really don't. If I thought that Sardell Hawley was going to play the next 4 games unaffected by sub-vest, I think I would go down that path because I think he could still score 70s, 65s, and he'll make the 150 I want from this rookie. And I would probably go down that path without too much question. The thing that worries me is I don't know that he will play every week unsub-affected. And I don't know, but I do know that Zach Reid's playing every week. And I do know that Zach Reid has a -9. And I do know that Zach Reid's going to go up at least, let's call it 80,000 to be really conservative. They are in the bank. And plus, I think Zach Reid's floor with Ridley out, taking some kick-ins, getting some of the Chip Seagull stuff that Essendon tend to do, playing at Marvel, all of these things. I think Zach Reid is a really safe on-field option as well. So this is really unconventional, but I'm just looking for different ways to make cash and guarantee cash. And I guess what's clouding my thinking at the moment a little bit, and we're all at mercy of this, because I bought Boxall in last week, and I now feel Boxall's probably going to be sub or dead altogether. I don't know if I can take another risk on an Al Hawley and get another dead rookie there, and that's going to impact me in round 12, 13, 14, etc. But I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if that's the right move or not for sure.
Yeah,
and here's the other little. I spoke about an insurance policy before on Daniel to Philippou. Here's the insurance policy on Al Hawley. He's still got the 4 in his cycle. So if we put him in here, let's for a second and see. I don't think he's going to be unattainable next week if he looks like he plays another full game, gets another 75. He's still probably only going to go up marginally, if that makes sense. Yep. Let me just confirm that though before I make up something silly.
No, that's okay. Go for it.
Where is he? So he is. Yeah, his break even's 19. So if he went, what are they predicting here?
37. He's going to go more than 37. He's got.
If he plays a full game, he'll go more than 37.
Yeah. Well, he played 80% game time last week.
But he might go to 180, right? He's not going to get out of hand because he's still got the 4 in, and his break even will reset to a big negative next week if he gets an 80. Yep. In a way, something in my gut tells me wait that week on him just to get that little bit of comfort. But maybe I'm telling again, you can tell yourself any story with this stuff, and maybe that's what I'm doing with that pick. I don't know.
100%. Yeah. The guys in the chat just having a bit of a piss take, mate. That safe word. I'm trying to get one in. So I actually like Sardell Hawley as a shout, mate, because and with injury comes opportunity. Yep. And I feel like last week he got that opportunity with Harry Jones out, and he looked good on the wing. I didn't watch the game live. I had to go back and watch the replay, but I thought that his role is fairly well. I think that his role and job security now is secure. And I went back and had a look at some numbers too. He had 80% game time. So when we're talking about, your Hustwaits who only had like 50% and other rookies that only get 50%, the fact that he's got 80%, and we've spoken about it before about him bringing run and carry and dare and excitement to the Essendon team that we've lacked for so long, he's got to stay, doesn't he?
Well,
like it just makes sense.
I think you and I are talking to the converted when we talk to each other. We wanted him in from round one, right? And I thought after the Melbourne game, and I went to gather around, I watched that game, he was outstanding when he came on early for Nick Bryan. He was the sub, but he came on really early in that game. And he played.
James, we got your comments, mate. We will answer it shortly.
Yeah, but he still got relegated the week after. So yes, I agree with you. I think from all logic tells me we should be playing Sardell Hawley on the wing every week for the next 10 weeks, right? But I can't say with any certainty because I thought that 3-4 weeks ago.
Yeah, that's right. So like me, I've got Gawn. I've got Cherry. I don't have Gawn. Gawn he's too far out of range for us right now.
Yeah, I think so.
With the way the rookie crisis is, there's no money being generated anywhere at the moment to be able to splurge $750,000 on one player.
No, and this is the problem that and this is where my head is at with Sherry, right? Is Sherry will be in this position next week. So this is a this week decision. If I don't pick Sherry this week, I'm almost resigned to the fact you're not getting him until round 16, 17. And his good run is round 13, 14, 15, 16. So that's why the Sherry this week decision is attractive to me, because otherwise it becomes a gone problem.
100%.
Yeah. I don't know. Who knows what will be right? I mean, it only takes one shit score and it stuffs everything, right? Every best laid plan can be a great move or a bad move the week after.
Yep. Now we do see, and we'll cover it on our review show tomorrow night, but we've had some people contact us to let us know that Ned Moyle is going to play this week. Jared Witts is going to be rested. Ned Reeves is going to play. Lloyd Meek is going to be rested. There's quite a few players that are going to be rested. Don't get sucked into the trap of bringing in potentially a Ned Moyle or a Ned Reeves or anyone like that, because they are only 1 week rentals, but we'll get into that sort of stuff tomorrow night.
I'll tell you who is the ruck that you should have your eye on. And if I bring Sherry in without dropping De Koning, I can't do this. But if Dante Vicentini holds his spot for a month for Port Adelaide, he becomes a Matt Flynn situation next week 100%. As well, which is a great cash generator.
Oh, is that insulting to Vicentini? Because he can actually play.
Yeah, I'm just talking about cash gen.
Yeah.
I don't know if Flynn was ever going to be a good player, but he just had a massive break even, right? Massive negative. But yeah, it is a bit. Sorry, Dante. And we got your brother Vigo down at the Bombers. He might get a game. He might get a game soon when Goldie needs a rest for a week.
100%. Engo says, "G'day legends. I like your cherry in flex option hurls. Hold TDK till he's by and reassess."
Yeah, I think, Engo, this is a really good one too, because this will be next week's podcast. If I go that way and I've got the 3 rucks, I then need to make a decision. Do I want to go TDK to Vicentini to release 300K and for Vicentini to make some money? And that's something that I've got in the back of my mind too, because that might be my way to upgrade Sinclair still next week and to think about Bont in round 13. And so all of my trades have 4 weeks of thinking behind them. And if I go the 3 big dogs, there'll be one of 2 ways I'll go. Vicentini is an option for cash, or hold the 3 big dogs till round 14 when TDK has West Coast and stuff before that, and then he gets to Sherry, and then I'll dump him then. Because I don't necessarily – I don't know if I'm sold on this yet, but I don't think you need 3 rucks anymore coming home. I think there's too big a gap between the top 2 and the third that I would rather prioritise Bonds and Butters and get rid of TDK on the way home is what I'm thinking, because I don't think he's got the tank to go all year.
When we're talking averages with Ruckman, and we'll go to the last 3 rounds, Gawn is at 171, Cherry's at 163, and then there's a 41 point per game drop to Darcy Cameron, who's at 122, and then Tim English, Rowan Marshall. TDK is now 6th ranking in the past, 3 weeks? And if we go 5-round average, even Luke Jackson is ranked above TDK at the moment. So, yeah, Dante Vicentini, 98 last week at 248K. I like it, but here's something I want to throw out to you, Hurls. He's got the same buy as your Bulldogs, your Carlton, he plays for Port Adelaide. So
this is something to consider for sure. What does your buy structure look like? And those who have listened to me at all year, you'll notice what I've got as a structure in my team. I only have 4 round 12 buy players in my whole team. Yep. And so if I was to drop Daniel for Sherry or TDK for Sherry, that number doesn't change. And if I drop both TDK and Daniel, I even go with less primos in that round 12. So I've got the luxury of being able to do that. If you're sitting with 5, 6 primos out of round 12, you can't go that way anyway.
No. Steedsy wants to know, non-Marich owner, would you sideways him from Daniels?
That's another really good shout. Similar to the Zach Reed scenario, right? With a little caveat, he's not going up in cash like Zach Reed will, because I think he's already, 470. So he's probably got a little bit of cash to make. But if you're going to him, so he'll go up maybe 60,000 more for the year. Yep. If you're going to him, though, you're going to him because you think he's a keeper.
100%. And with the way he's playing at the moment, no,
it's not a stupid shout. It's just you have to think that he's a keeper to go there.
Yeah, I'm just going through here. Tommy, as Dons fans, what's the go with Setterfield? I keep falling back onto him. Low break even, last buy, could be decent scores on field and sideways at his buy. I like Setterfield the player, but I don't like him as a SuperCoach player.
No, I was gonna say something relatively similar. I think he's added a lot to our team, and I'm on record, and I think I even put an apology on X after he came back for the Melbourne game, because I've lost trust in Setterfield's body, and every time he came back, he'd last a half, and then he'd get injured, and so I was big to say just move on from him. But I'm happy to say he's added a lot to our team. He definitely has. So now, player, yes. SuperCoach, no.
Strap yourself in. We've got Skull in the chat, mate. The funny man.
Skull.
Do we actually trade the little midget helmet if dropped, or keep him if he holds his spot? Full disclosure, midgets scare me.
Skull, we have discussed this. If he gets dropped, he's a definite trade. I'm probably trading him if he plays. So I don't think you hold him if he's dropped. That's for sure.
He's one of the funnier men that I've ever seen on TV.
How funny!
Oh, he's unreal.
He's a legend.
He's unreal. James P. Wicks knocked himself out in that first contest, but told the docs he's fine, so he deserves an out for his score of 30-odd for those considering to trade him. You probably only really got him.
Archer Day Wicks, not Sam Wicks.
I don't know. I think it was Sam Wicks, wasn't it? Or Archer Day Wicks?
No, it'd be Archer. It'd have to be. Let us know in chat. But I think he's talking about Archer Day Wicks because he hit the ground with that massive. He tackled and then he smashed his head into the ground. I think it's Archer Day Wicks.
Skull, can't believe Shy Bolton scored a 5. I scored more than that in one cricket shot.
Is he on anyone's radar, Horse? Once the 5 goes out of the system?
Oh,
He's going to be 400.
He burnt me hard last year, so I can't. No.
Yeah, he's going to be 400k. If you're like, I don't need a forward, so he's a no for me. But if you want to last, if you want an F7, he wouldn't be a bad shout at 400k.
Big set of nuts from Jonas, yeah. Who are you considering through your midfield?
Great question. So I've got what I think is about 4 midfield spots to fill. Because of the way the cash flow is looking, I was really thinking I might go to Dawson this week or next. I'm going back last week now, and that was because of the round 14 or 15, I think round 15 bye I think he has, which would have suited my structure to bring him in. But I'm now thinking that my next 2 trades are probably going to be Sherry and Sinclair, or Sinclair and another defender if I don't go Sherry. And I'm going to leave the midfield until round 13, and I'm going to bring in one of Bont or Butters as my next midfield move.
Right.
That's where I think I'm going at the moment. Yeah, I think I want one of them. I think, and this is why I'm thinking this way, all the calcs I did today, I don't think I can get the 3 big dogs, Sherry, Bont, Butters. I don't think I can afford the 3 of them. Not unless some rookies really overachieve from what I'm planning. So if I can't get the 3, I want 2. And I think Sherry's one you have to have because of the ruck scarcity. And I think then I'll look in round 13 which one of Bont or Butters I want, and I'll go the other one. And if I can somehow do a luxury trade to get the 3rd one at the end, then I will. Yep. But I think I'm at this stage in my head anyway, I'm only planning to have 2 of the 3.
100%. So we're talking about midfielders, mate. Let's look at who's at the top of the tree, so to speak. Caleb Sarong's dropped off a lot. It's been a scary drop-off, SuperCoach-wise, but you got the likes of Zach Butters. Ed Richards has been playing some really good footy, 125, but you're probably pretty sorted for your round 12 bye at the moment. Petraka as well. Bailey Smith has entered calculations. He's in the past 3 rounds averaging 128. If you don't have your Sheasels or Rankins, it's nearly getting too late, Hurls.
Yeah, you can still go there. I think this is the fascinating thing, and I did have a look at one of the top couple of teams. I think it might have even been the leader last week, and I noticed that one thing that he's done is he's got all of his rookies, and he's a bit ahead of me. I think he's got three rookies left on field, none in the midfield. So all of his rookies left were defender and forwards. And so I think that's why he's scoring so well, because he's got more midfielders. Now, I've gone the other way, and my midfielders are going to be my last place to fill, partially because I didn't really know where to go. And I wanted to always hold 2 spots for Bont and Butters just in case. My preferences when I look at the midfielders are probably Touk Miller might interest me. We didn't talk about Connor Rozee. I think Connor Rozee as a defender is someone. Yeah, Tom Green is okay. Sarong, I'm not sure. Until he can show he's getting back, he's just too mediocre this year. So until he starts to get some spike scores, I'm not going there. Dawson can be a bit of a roller coaster. Finn Callahan's come good, but I'm not going back there. Yeah, I don't know. This is why I haven't really tried to fix my midfield, because I haven't really known where to go for a while now, and I still probably don't. I mean, Ed Richards is great at the moment, but will he sustain that? Maybe he will now that Bont's there, because he's flying at the moment. Ed Richards, he's 3-round average of 125. So if you just go the recency bias, you got Brayshaw, which I've got, Butters and Bont are up there, but Ed Richards and McCluggage are the next couple, right? Do you trust that they're going to be the ones that stay up there all year? I don't know.
What would you be doing if you're a George Hewitt owner?
How's he been going?
603K, break even of 154. His last few games, he went ballistic. 123, 126, 125, 132, 171. The last 3 weeks, 103, 103, 100.
Yeah. I guess this depends on the way you play SuperCoach and also what you're planning for the next little while. You could do a couple of things with him. You could hold him because he's not doing anything wrong, right? He's still getting his hundreds and all the rest. You could hold there. You could upgrade to a Bonds or a Butters for far less than anyone else can. And you can say, well, Hewitt's not going to be able to match it with Bonds and Butters coming home. So let's go there for 70,000 to Bont or 80 or 90,000 to Butters. Or you could even go the other way and say, let's release some cash. Let's go Hewitt to Dawson. I might give up 5 points a week, but I'll make more $70,000, and that 70,000 could go elsewhere, right? So there's a few options with a Hewitt type. I think it depends whether you're a conservative player, whether you're a risky player, whether you like to attack it. I guess there's no right or wrong.
Yep. Thoughts on Jonty Fall from the Tigers? I could do this one quickly, mate. Spike score last week. West Coast didn't have anything that resembled a key backman last week. He'll fall back into his 40s and whatnot. I don't think he's an option. Engo wants to know, can Noah Anderson be a pod pick?
I think he can. I think Anderson owners at the moment will be frustrated because he's going well without dominating. Like, he hasn't had the big spikes this year, but he's going okay. Where is he, Anderson? So his scores are all around the 100 mark. Like, I think he's only had one score under 100 off the top of my head. Oh, two scores under 100, an 89 and 96. So he's got a good floor, right? But he just hasn't had these huge scores yet. So you could go there for sure, but I guess it's personal preference.
It's almost like a Caleb Sarong type of scenario, isn't it?
It is. It is.
Yeah. Cheese. Can I take a chance on Luke Jackson and hoping Sean Darcy never plays again? Unfortunately, mate, I was listening to the Freo press conference today, and Sean Darcy's a test to play this week, so he might not even miss any time.
Yeah. I think the Cheese, what I would do with that one is, I think Jackson's break even's about 146 or 149. So just don't worry this week. See if Darcy comes in. If he does, you know that there's two rucks. Probably if you're morbid, and we don't wish injuries on players, but if he came in and got injured and he was out for the year, that's when Jackson would be very attractive.
100%. 100%. That's all the comments that we've got here, mate. I'll just see if there's anything else. Here goes, just put in here, if El Hawley scores 60 the next two games, he goes up 17.3K with a break-even of 29, then 36K with a break-even of 5. So even if he scores 60 this week, he doesn't go up that much.
Nah, because of his 4 still in his cycle. Like, I think, and I'm going to contradict myself a little bit here, and he still is in 2 of my 3 real solid trade plans, right? So I like him. I think the thing with Al Hawley is you need him to play every week because of that 4, and you need him to play for 5 weeks to make the money that he would otherwise probably have made in 3. So that's what you're banking on with Al Hawley.
For sure. James Smith wants to know, is Bice and Cleary out for El Hawley and Sinclair better? Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. That was my first sort of move, was take the two clear rookies off the field. So that's a really traditional SuperCoach play. No problem with that whatsoever. And that will work if Caleb Daniel doesn't get a 50 again. If Caleb Daniel gets a 50 again, you bleed cash and you're in trouble. But if Caleb Daniel gets a 95 against Richmond and he only loses $5,000 or $10,000 or whatever it is, then that's a really good play.
Yep. Daniel to Reid seems like a short-term play for score and cash. 100%, mate. Yes. Does anyone know what position Nick Martin was last week? He was everywhere.
He was everywhere. He played a little bit. I started half forward. He rolled back. He played a lot more in the back half when the ball was around the ground. The one good thing, and this we didn't talk about Nick Martin, and I haven't got him and didn't really talk about him because I've got a full forward line. But if Al Hawley stays in the team, Martin becomes really attractive because he then becomes half forward, run around everywhere again. The problem with Martin was the week before he played wing, and that is spiky, and he got a 50 or whatever it was, and then this week he was back to 140. So if he doesn't ever go to the wing again in the next 4 or 5 weeks, Martin's a good pick.
Yep. Also, is it time to finally give the suitcase the respect he deserves? I think the suitcase has been good.
Yep.
For me, though, I've got Neil, I've got Zorko. I can't really get another player. Like, I'd like Dunkley as well. He's like, people have still got the Ashcrofts. It's almost like he's even though he's been scoring really well, he's the 5th or 6th chosen in that Brisbane lineup, isn't he?
Yeah. Yeah. And, the one game here, he had an 80. Collingwood really clamped him. Ned Long followed him around. They really prioritised not letting him, and Collingwood do this. Collingwood do not let you access the corridor. They want you going wide. So every one of their defenders sits in the corridor, and they make it hard for you to go through them. You have to go around them. And so that really hurt McCluggage. But every other game, bloody hell, he's been fantastic.
Yeah, he has been. Driz, my trades are Bice and Daniel for Holmes and Sard. Leave me 250k in the back. Beautiful.
Yeah, that
gives you a bit of wiggle room. Yep.
Yeah, that's sort of the hybrid. That's I want Daniel gone, but I still want to keep my upgrade cadence going, and it gives me a bit of cash because I'm banking the Daniel 440 this week. So I think that's a good option too.
Cheese, if you had none of Neil's dunks or the suitcase, would he be an option out of them, or do you like the other two more still? I like McCluggage more than Neil. Neil's been a really hard watch this year.
Yeah, it depends on the makeup of your midfield. Like, do you and this is what I'm finding with mine, and I'll go back to my page because this might help answer your question, Cheese. I've got Brayshaw's really consistent, so let's park him for a second. But my other 3 mids are Dacos, Merritt, Neil. In any given week, they can go 170 or 70. And because I've got the 3 of them, the week that they all go 70 like this week, I'm screwed. And so I'd just get you to look at what's the makeup of your midfield. If you can afford the really high ceiling guy, I'd still tell you go Neil. But if you've got Dacos, Merritt, Neil like I have, I'd probably encourage you to go for someone a little bit more sort of consistent.
Dunkley.
Yeah, or suitcase. I think either of those two.
Yeah.
I think either of those two would work for that. But yeah, because and this is what I'm finding is the separator in these couple of weeks of SuperCoach. Like last week, those 3 yo-yos for me went massive, and I got a 2,500. This week, the team was supposedly better because I used my last boost and I got an extra rookie off the field, and I bought in 2 blokes who went okay.
And you scored 300.
And I got 2,200. Yeah, so that's where the theory doesn't always come to fruition.
Go figure. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do us for this evening. Hurls, let them know what they've got coming up tomorrow night.
We'll do the preview again tomorrow night, which we'll talk a little bit more broadly about every game. And I think it'll be one to listen out for because this is, and I said this, I tweeted out earlier, if we still call them tweets on X. I was really looking forward to this chat, and it's really helped me sort of think through my plans. I think tomorrow night will really help as well because I've just shown 3 options. There's probably 33 viable options you could go this week. Mm-hmm. And there's pros and cons to every one of them. So if anyone tells you that your moves are bad, I'll tell you just to rebut that and say, mate, it's my team. And this week is 100%. One of those weeks that will go in many different directions. And this is why we love SuperCoach, because some weeks it's boring. It's the same players go out, the same players come in. This is one of those weeks that will differentiate teams. And I think you could be a bit creative if you wanted to be, or you could go safe if you want to be. So tomorrow night, we'll talk a lot more about all of the different players and also some of the ones that, are coming up. Cooper Simpson, we didn't mention much tonight, who's an option next week, and a few of those kinds of things.
100%. Ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't yet, please give us the thumbs up, like, subscribe, put the bell on. We call it being a triple banger. If you're listening to us on audio, give us that 5-star review. We would very much appreciate that. But we will be back tomorrow night, 8 o'clock for our round 10 review show. That's right. We're nearly halfway through the season already. It has gone fast. And then Thursday night, Deadly's little creation that he has called the Panic Room. As soon as teams drop at 6:30 Thursday night, we go live for 45 minutes to help you get your team sorted for round 10. You don't want to miss that. So until tomorrow night, 8 o'clock, Hurls and I will be back then. We'll see you then. Take care.